Hello, my precious students, and welcome to New City and Duel Academy. I am the headmistress, Lady Sarisa, and today, I'm glad my voice isn't absolutely Horus for this new deck build. But first, let me introduce you to the Academy Discord server. We have an amazing community that strands of both competitive and for fun players, willing to help each other out. Tutor requests for our staff of teachers that are at the ready when you are ever in need of help. Not only that, but we also host tournament events where anyone is eligible to join. Links in the description below. As you're probably wondering, Sarisa, why that stupid Horus pun? And to that I say, it's the same reason I Tri-Brigade a barricade so you wouldn't walk in on me and your mom.
What did he say?
I mean, it's because that, as it turns out, the new Horus archetype contains some synergy with Tri-Brigades. I won't go too much into detail on what each individual card does just yet, but I will say this: they love getting sent into the graveyard, just like my rejection rate back in grade school. The only issue is that Horus alone is heavily reliant on their continuous spell Pharaonic Sarcophagus to special summon themselves from the grave. This card is still an actual beast because of how fast this card allows us to send Horus monsters back to your mom's house. I mean, your graveyard, by sending any card from the hand and then one Horus monster from the deck. Which can be activated up to 4 times in a single turn. That's crazier than that one time I played Ojamas on a dare. Now, how does Horus synergize with Tri-Brigade? And it's actually simple. Horus monsters, aside from Amnesty, Glory of Horus, which is a spellcaster, all the Horus monsters currently are Winged Beast, Beast Warrior, and Beast type monsters, which can be used as banish material from the graveyard to get into some of your Tri-Brigade or other link monsters of those 3 typings. But Sarisa, banishing Horus won't return, just like your inability to make coherent words on stream. To that I say, rude, but fear not. Tri-Brigade Revolt can bring back our Horus monsters just so that we can special summon back from our graveyard all over again. Now, let's get into the deck profile. Alright, so, lovely deck, beautiful deck, wonderful ratios, work in progress, but this is what we ended up coming up with on stream. Starting off, we have 3 copies of M-City Glory of Horus. This card is very important, which is why we're running at 3, because it gets us our continuous spell Pharaonic Sarcophagus. Next we have a word that I'm not going to pretend to be able to pronounce, Aegis of Horus. This card is it does stuff. It only works if your opponent does something. I believe. Wait, hang on. Did I miss? Oh yeah. It's your opponent does something. My bad. But mostly, like, remove a card from your side of the field, and then it does something. It's kind of a protection, which is cool. Like, it protects your Horus monsters, but that's it. So it's not like a go-to thing, but we're running it at 2 because why not? And that's just the trend with the rest of the Horus monsters, is if your opponent does something like removing a card, that's kind of what they end up doing. Like this one, MSC lets you draw a card, but that's about it. Or no, that's a lie. It allows you to send 1 card on the field to the graveyard. So it's a little bit of disruption. This one I kind of like. It's Happy Vanguard of Horus. It's kind of like one of the Castira monsters that I can't think off the top of my head, where it can banish cards from either... Oh, wait, no, that's a lie. It takes banished cards from either... or in either graveyard. And or... and then add them both to the hand or shuffle them to the deck. This can add some disruptive plays to certain particular decks. It's not the world's greatest. I still see DPE every now and then, which is very... It's rare, but this can get around for any deck that still makes DPE. So there's that. The worst one out of all the new Horus cards, Domitef? Yeah, Domitef, Blessing of Horus. All it does is lets you draw equal number of monsters, or draw cards equal to the number of monsters with different names on your main zones, if your opponent like does something. So yeah, it's draw power, sure, but like it's not worth running 100%. So that's why we're running at 1. 1 is just fine. If you do have to run it, if you can get away with not running it, then don't run it. But like running it at 1 is fine. But that's it for the Horus monsters. We have the Tri-Brigades, which is standard engine, 3 fractal, Tri-Brigade fractal. This card gets our Tri-Brigade engine going. We have a playset of Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs because hand trappage. 2 copies of Tri-Brigade Caress. They're the one that we special summon all our stuff from, and it can discard a, oh, look at that. One of these guys as well. We have 1 kit. Kit allows us to have a little bit more materials in graveyard, if sent to grave. And then we have 2 copies of Nerval. You don't necessarily need 2 copies. I'm just running 2 copies because seeing it in hand is, I guess, because of the new cards, but I wouldn't go more than 2. So basically, if you're not aware of the Tri-Brigade engine, is basically discard Fractal from hand, send Kit, then send Nerval, and then Nerval will add... Oh, send Kit to graveyard from Fractal, and then Kit will send Nerval from deck to graveyard. That's the thing, this deck from graveyard. And then Caress will be added to your hand, and then Caress should be normal summoned or special summoned. Ideally special summoned, but tomato. So that's it for the monsters. There's 19 monsters. We have 17 spells. We have a playset of Triple Tactic Talents, one of my favorite cards to dealing with hand traps. Usually, because, you know, drawing 2 is nice. I like to steal my opponent's cards, you know, that sort of stuff. I hate that it's still relying on your opponent doing something, because I've been running into decks that don't do stuff on your opponent's or on your turn, so that's a little weird, but tomato. A playset of Trade-In is not set in stone to keep this in here, because while it is nice every now and then, it does not come up that much. So like, you're better off if you want to trade this out. Trade this out for something better. By all means, go for it. And then we have 1 copy of Upstart Goblin, because I couldn't figure out what to put in here, and making this a 39 card deck was nice idea. 1 copy of Foolish Burial, because you are sending stuff to the graveyard. 2 copies of Prod of Prosperity. Yes, I know Kashtira is still a thing, but you're not really hurting if you're using 2 copies. And then 1 Call by the Grave, because disruptions and hand trappage. Playset of Fire Formation 10 Key, just so we can get our Fractal in hand. And then we have a playset of Pharaonic Sarcophagus. This card is still very important. As I mentioned earlier, if you send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, note it is send, so you will not be able to get dangers to work off of this card. Then you send one Horus monster from your deck to the graveyard. Yes, you can send a Horus monster from your hand to the graveyard and then send another Horus monster from deck to graveyard and still start doing special summons. I do want to point out that this card has to be on the field in order for the Horus monsters to be special summoned. If it's not on the field, they will just remain in the graveyard. Hence why Tri-Brigade actually kind of helps, because they could still be used as materials. And then we have a playset of Infinite Impermanence for our traps, and then one copy of Tri-Brigade Revolt. Basically the bread and butter of getting disruptions out. For the extra deck, we have one Zeus, one number 93 Utopia Kaiser. Someone in stream actually suggested I play this. I did not get much play. Number 92 Hard Earth Dragon. A DDD Duo Dawn King Kali Yuga. This one actually did come up. It was also suggested by a viewer in the stream. Number 97 Draglubian. Wonderful card. Number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. I don't see this card very much anymore, and I hate that it's slept on. The one that I have learned recently, Coach King Giant Trainer. I did not know this card can do some silly stuff for hand advantage, and yeah, kind of like it. Not my go-to right away on every play, but it is a go-to if I can say I can do more stuff other than just summon this bad boy out. We also have number 100 Numeron Dragon for them OTKs. For links, we also have Underworld Goddess of Closed World, Tri-Brigade Shreg the Ominous Omen, Access Kotaker, Appaloosa both the Goddess, a couple more Tri-Brigades. We have Tri-Brigade Bear Brunton, the Rampart Rampager, and Tri-Brigade Furgit, the Baron Blossom. And then lastly, we have IP Masquerena. As for the side deck, it kind of fits my go-to formula that I have a tendency to use. Usually I have Cosmic Cyclone, but since this is graveyard reliant, we're using Twin Twisters, and the same for Forbidden Droplet over Dark Ruler No More. Because graveyard reliancy is existing so much in this deck, sending cards from hand to graveyard is phenomenal. I will just quickly give you guys a quick rundown. It's 2 Nibiru, playset of Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird can actually be in the main deck, I'm hearing, but also in the side. It depends on what you're playing up against or how many people are search reliant. 1 token collector, because, well, occasionally you'll see tokens, but again, set up for what you're going up against, not what I'm going up against. Harpy's Feather Duster, Twin Twisters, Forbidden Droplet, playset of, and then a set of Evenly Matched, because Kashtera exists still. Yeah, the ban list didn't do shit, so we're fighting back still. So that is it for the deck profile. Now, let's see why this deck makes your mom's voice hoarse. I mean, why this deck is potentially so good on the field. So we got our first test hand, and it's very interesting that we have 2 copies of Crest in our first test hand. So we're gonna have to try Brigade our way out of here. Let's go ahead and start off with just activating Upstart Goblin. And I hate that it opened up with Naval. So we're going to go ahead and activate Foolish Burial. Send Kit. Kit effect. Nerval. Nerval effect. Fractal. And that gets us started, but like, notice how I mentioned before that the trade-in was not helping very much. This is one of the reasons why occasionally you get a brick. I'm not going to finish out this entire play because, well, it's kind of redundant. You're going to go doing your Tri-Brigade plays as best as humanly possible, and then move on from there. Again, what is this mess? I swear to God that it wasn't this bad when I play tested on stream. So let's try one more. And this one's a lot better. So no, we do have our Fractal play. We already have a Horus play on top of that, so that's great. So we'll just go ahead and activate our Fractal play. Send kit. Kit effect. Nerval. Activate Nerval. Crass. Now we can just use Crass to send Fractal to Graveyard. But first, before we do, since we already have our Pharaonic Sarcophagus, we do not need to use MSD's effect. So we'll just activate the trade-in. Get a couple more draws. Wow, that's pretty badass. A little bit more draw power there. And we can end on there. Now, instead of using the Fractal, we can just use the Vanguard and use the other crest to send another words. So we'll activate the crest, send the Horus, special summon, and then we'll activate the sarcophagus, and then we'll send Limitef, because that's the only one we don't have, and then we can just start special summoning Horus monsters. Look at that, so many Horus monsters. I wish this popped up on the first two, because usually this happens more often than not. I will promise you that. I will not promise something that I don't think happens. So we can go do a couple of things. I'm going to go ahead and go into Coach King. Oh yeah, that's right, it's 3 monsters. Whoops. Do I want to go into Coach King then? You know what? Yeah, let's go in the Coach King. Activate Coach King. Horus monster. Draw a card. Now, I do believe that this deck does need more stuff. Alright, so let's go ahead and go into IP. Crass effect. Do 2. We'll send you and you for Rampart. And then we also have the Revolt when we have a play to deal with another disruption. Oh yeah, that's right. 1 card has to be returned to deck. Let's return our embassy. And then we'll set 1, set 2, and then that's usually our inboard. We can activate Pharaonic Sarcophagus, because I believe we only did it once. So we can do it 3 more times, but we only have 2 cards in hand, and ideally we don't want to do that. So we would leave the board in here, and then on our opponent's turn, when they try to do something that deals with getting rid of one of our cards, we can just use the materials to get into Access Code Talker, and then just, you know, have a bigger body on board, use the Revolt to get the Ominous Omen out. Or what you could do is never mind, JK, I forgot that it's 4 monsters. So Goddess of the Underworld is not it. I mean, technically you could have if you got into your Ominous Omen. But, eh. I hope there was a lot to take away from this video, and I thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you in your next deck build. Class dismissed.